Thanks for being here with us.
We're really excited to be here. And we want to talk a little bit about and share a little bit about our experience together of our two businesses and how we actually came together to help women all over the world. So we'll start with introducing ourselves a little bit, talking about our backgrounds, um, first Greer and then myself, and then how we came together, some things that we learned along the way about coming together, some things we knew we thought we should know in advance that we didn't know, we wish we would have known. And then feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout. We'll be monitoring it, so if you have a specific question and we didn't get to it, just go for it. So I'm going to hand it over to Greer first.
All right. Hi, my name is Greer. I am one of the owners of Abroad Modern, which we'll tell you more about, but we have both a brick and mortar location in the Boston area and
Greer, sorry, can you speak up?
Yeah, and we're on, is that any better?
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids always tell me I shout at these things, but and we have a brick and mortar and an online retail shop. My background is originally in interior architecture, but my foreground, I kind of say, is that I have two not so young anymore kids, and 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 a couple of years ago, as my kids got older, I was kind of thinking about what next steps were for me. And I was actually in the throes of a very big business plan for a totally different business idea, and about to try to secure funding for that. And in, I guess it was January of 2019, I had the opportunity to go with some friends to India to visit some other friends there. And so we bopped around India for a couple of weeks, and it was incredible. Again, being a mother of two young kids, I hadn't traveled that way in such a long time. It really reignited in me just a desire to be out in the world, experiencing people and things, and it just kind of reignited this curiosity. Um, and while we were there, we happened to have a driver on our very first day there that we became we over the week we were in Udaipur, Rajasthan, became quite friendly with him and his family, and stayed in touch after the fact. And then several months later, once we were home, his rickshaw, he's a rickshaw driver, his rickshaw had broken down. And so my friends and I did a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe to raise money for him to buy a new rickshaw, because it's very difficult to be a rickshaw driver if you don't have a rickshaw. But kind of in that moment, I was also just talking to him about like, how could he increase his revenue streams? And it just dawned on me that, like I said, my background is interior design, but I also just love beautiful things. I'd been working kind of as a retail buyer on the side when my kids were younger, and I'd always wanted a shop of my own. And I just kind of had this like moment where I was like, maybe I'll just open a shop and kind of that's predicated on these travels, and go back to India and buy a bunch of the stuff that I was really interested in there, the kind of utilitarian products that helped me get a better sense for the culture in that place, and that I would be able to hire this gentleman whose name is Saeed, as kind of my helper on the ground, to help me negotiate and ship. And that same day, I bought a ticket and I rented a space for a month-long pop-up for that summer. And that was the beginning of Abroad Modern. And it was also the moment that I met Joy.
Yep. So thanks, Greer. So,
Did I miss anything?
I mean, your whole life story, but that's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're good. If you guys have any more questions about Greer, we'll be happy to answer them. So let me go to my part and kind of my business, and then we'll go into how, again, how we became better as two. So my name is Joy Collin, and I actually have a very different background from retail or business. I have worked for the past 20 years in international development. I have degrees in international relations. I speak different um, languages. I've worked and lived overseas for many years. And I always wanted, and I worked for very large organizations. And I always felt that even though I was doing a lot of good in terms of like democracy and governance and public health and all that, they were very large projects, and I didn't really feel the impact that like I had personally um, on people, especially women, and especially in African countries. And so I decided for a long time I wanted to start something of my own. I come from a world of nonprofits and NGOs, and I was thinking of that, but I didn't really want a board of directors, and I wanted to do something on my own. So I thought, okay, I'll start a business, but I don't know anything about businesses, and I don't know like what to do. And ideally, I wanted to give out small grants to women to really help them, boost them. A lot of times that's all kind of you need to either start a business or propel your business. And so I was thinking, okay, what do I do for revenue for this? Because I'm not Melinda Gates, you know? And so my hairdresser actually, she said, hey, I really like all the cute stuff you always get from all your journeys. Maybe you can sell that. So that's kind of how it started. And so I leveraged actually my day job, which I actually still have, and I work for an affiliate of Johns Hopkins University in international public health, and my travels there to actually buy certain things from mostly women artisans, and then the proceeds from that would go towards the grants. That I was doing it all online, and there were some markets that I went to, and one of the markets I went to, I had a pop up for a week at this place called Bow Market, the same time that Greer had her pop up. So we were there she was there for a month, I was there for a week. We kind of had, you know, similar aesthetic. I had stuff from mostly Africa. She had, and Bangladesh. She had stuff from India. And basically, one of the people at Bow Market, this place that has pop up, he said, oh, you should really check out her store. It kind of is interesting. And I think he said the same thing to Greer. And then we started talking, and we found that we have very similar interests. And not just that, we really complement each other, because I really didn't know anything about retail and I wasn't very good at it, to be quite honest. And Greer, you know, she had that you know, wanted to do social good, and she was doing it with Saeed and his family, but she wanted to expand it a little bit more. So we both started talking, and, you know, again, realized that we kind of complement each other, and then started thinking, maybe there's something here. Maybe we can actually, if we combine together and leverage our strengths, then maybe there's something that we could actually do more, meaning like we could sell more and do more on the retail side, and also do more good. So that's kind of the story, and we've been working together now for what, a year.
Yeah, and in the very beginning, we were just kind of wanted to do, you know, Joy did a pop up. Uh, you know, so after my pop up, I felt like I broke even, which to me was like, great, this will be a huge success. I'm going to plow forward. So I ultimately took on permanent location in November of that same year. And when I did so,
In Cambridge, Massachusetts.
in Cambridge, Massachusetts,
Just so you guys know.
And when I did so, one of the things that Joy and I reconnected, and I consigned some of her jewelry for the shop, and then we also, I think that's when we planned to do like that you would do a pop-up for maybe Valentine's Day. So we had these small ways that we were going to kind of just
Test the waters.
test the water and bring the brands and their missions together. Um, and
Oh, one more thing, sorry. We also were planning like a buying trip together that we were thinking, and being like, buddies in that. But then COVID happened.
right.
And
So
then, yeah,
we
go ahead.
thought we were kind of thinking pretty quickly, like, what if we just partnered completely? But we decided that we would do a litmus test. And again, this is pre-COVID, and we said, let's do a joint collection, a special holiday collection for holiday 2020. We're gonna travel. We were gonna go to Sri Lanka and just like have a great time, a blast. To women out and about buying stuff and bringing in this really exciting new collection.
We were joking, we would wear jumpsuits and straw hats, and
Just
it would
like
be so
be
much
fabulous and
fun.
fun. And then we started catching, we're like, well, then China started having its outbreak, and we're like, maybe not Asia. And then for a minute, we were like, how about Mexico? And then we were like, oh, we're not going anywhere. It turns out we're not. Our travel based business has been grounded. But how can we still do a collection together? How can we leverage the relationships in the places we already have to still and make new connections stateside to still have an exciting new, what we were calling a modern joy collection for the holidays? And in so doing, let's figure out how we work together, and whether we can, whether we're gonna just go our separate ways after this, or come to or partner in earnest. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And so for me, what was really important was, again, making enough money to give out the grants and giving out enough grants. And for Greer, that was important as well. But also, again, having a robust collection and, leveraging our ties. And actually, this goes to a question that how hard is it to import these things? Okay. So before COVID, we would actually go like physically, and we could touch it and feel it and buy it, and then kind of bring it back with us, and send some of it back. When COVID started, we were really dependent then on Saeed, our person in Udaipur, and then the connections that I had already in Kenya and Rwanda and other countries, and we also had to work through a third party, um, because we just couldn't get things there. So that actually it did work out, and actually our holiday collection was kind of India meets Africa, and it resonated very well with people, especially when you couldn't travel. And so that's kind of also when we came to the conclusion that we have something here, and we do complement each other. We were able, we broke even for the holidays. We were able to give out 4 grants, for the next round.
We
Each
made our entire year of
Yeah,
grants.
we made our entire year for grants, and so that was really actually inspiring. And we did it both online and in person. And the Abroad Modern store, just so you all know, is the smallest building officially in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It is tiny, so you can do a lot with a small space, and the impact again that we have, we saw that it was quite large. I'm just
Yeah.
seeing some questions here.
Yeah, and I think that what was really nice is that, I think during the holidays
Oh,
in COVID, people, everybody had a kind of this question mark, how are we going to get through the holidays? And I think that the shop was a real bright spot for people, because they were out, they were buying things, and they felt like, on several levels, like this was all, we often talk about how, like, we can offer virtual experiences of foreign lands through our products. People felt, when everybody's feeling so helpless and, having such a hard time even helping themselves, these purchases that they're making are expand, are fanning out and helping other people. So I think it was actually a really lovely, a really lovely thing.
Yeah.
Um,
So there's a more question. Someone's asking about how much inventory to order and how do you start social media, or how do you get people to hear about you when you're starting from scratch?
Ugh.
So I think one of the lessons,
And
I
there's
think,
one above that. That's how hard is it to import these items? We spoke
no,
about.
we talked
Yeah,
about that. And then there's another one. What is some advice that you would give to friends looking into business together? So maybe I'll start with the last one about the advice. So Greer and I didn't know each other. I mean, now we're friends, but we weren't friends. I mean, I didn't know who she was, before that. So
like,
so what?
didn't like me at first.
I didn't. I really didn't like Greer at first, but she grew on me, and I
Like
think I grew on her
like a virus.
like a virus, exactly. And so the advice, what is, I mean, for me, I guess, it was, again, no, I think we identified very quickly what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are vis-a-vis each other. And I think what really helped, we did this roles and responsibility list that really stated, kind of, again, based on what we do well and what we don't. This is what Greer's going to do. This is what Joy's going to do. Here are other things that we need to do that we both don't want to do or don't like to do or can't do. And we're going to have to figure them out. And I think that really, really, really helped defining those things. And then also, I think, like, having communication, like, we text all the time, we talk. I think that really helps. I don't think it helps to be kind of like passive aggressive, right, Greer? Maybe be aggressive is better, I don't know, but I think that has really helped us. Now, mind you, we're still figuring things out all the time. We don't know, we're not entirely sure. We have a lot of decisions we need to make in terms of our next steps. Are we going to grow? How are we going to grow? What are we going to do? What are we going to invest our money in? How, there's a lot. But I think, again, the communication and clear definitions of roles and responsibilities, and I think aligning expectations too. So,
Mhm.
anything else, Greer?
Um, I think just in terms, again, speaking to kind of directly to Kimberly here, I think that for me, I think that for the entire time that I've been thinking about having a business in my head, I always wanted a business partner. And there have been so many times where I've kind of had an idea and had a good friend that I was like, don't you want to do this with me? Um, and I don't think that it always, I think the reason why when Joy and I said, don't you want to do this with me? And that we knew one another as business people first, and we knew one another's strengths. It was, we haven't gotten totally into like our personality types, but how very much we complement and make up for one another's shortcomings. It's a little yin and yang. And so it was really clear that that was going to work, and that was, as Joy is saying, like, that two is better than one, that we come together as a whole that is pretty high, like high functioning across the board. I think Joy talked about the roles and responsibilities, and when she proposed that we do that, we both kind of drafted something up, and we both came back with kind of the same thing. And so we both knew ourselves well enough to say, like, here's what I can bring and here's what I'm not so good at bringing. And it was really awesome that they kind of reflected one another perfectly. It was like, oh, you're gonna do that? That's great. Like, I'll do this. Okay. And I don't know that if you just are like, well, if we're just BFFs and we want to have a business, that's always going to work. I think sometimes it's probably not. I've certainly seen relationships like kind of crumble under those pressures. And I think that this is a different route to a partnership that I mean, it's kismet, and I think it has better, stronger legs under it as a result.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go, but there was another question about how do you know how much inventory to order, and how do you start social media, or how do you get people to hear? But those are great questions.
Those are great.
Where, how much inventory to order?
Who's got answers for those?
Yeah.
How much inventory? Well, first of all, we should say, I mean, part of it works is just about how much money you have and the space. We have the beauty of having, again, a very small space, and like, so it is very easy for it to look quite full. Um, so, so, we don't have to buy massive quantities at a time, which is both a plus and a minus, because, if we had a huge space and we could be doing these big bulk orders and shipping things, right now we airship stuff. And if we were doing container shippings, it would be easier and cheaper in a lot of ways. But so we just kind of keep an eye on our inventory levels and know the pace, and always kind of thinking of, starting to really understand our inventory and where our sell-through points, what items have a stronger sell-through than others, and adjust those things appropriately. We also have worry about kind of the weights of different parcels and things, so that we, unfortunately, we really love brass and copper, and that's not, and terracotta. We had a very large terracotta order, and we were like, that was super heavy. That was expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as we consider expanding possibly into a bigger space, that's going to change. I will say that I'm a retail. I have a retail buying background, but it's not. Un, Unfortunately, I do a lot of it by gut. There are lots of rules and numbers and formulas. If you really want to do, uh, data-based buying, and I hope to master that that skill, but I do a lot of it kind of by gut right now.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think, again, based on I think based on how much money you have, I think that's really what dictates certain things. I mean, I think we're looking at things that probably we have larger margins, then we'll buy more of those, and then things that we have smaller margins on. We also kind of now know, we have a little bit of history. We know what people kind of like and what they don't like. So but we're also testing things. We may buy just a few things of something that we don't have, and just to see if it resonates or not. So again, it's not scientific, and I think Greer's right about the gut. And then on the social media stuff, well, that's a $1 million question that we've been trying, and we are actually now working with a web designer, social media person to kind of help us with that, and to increase our online presence. So I don't have a secret to that. I think it's just
I will
yeah,
ask all of you all to
yeah,
follow our social
exactly,
media at
exactly,
Modern and at Giving Joy.
yeah,
We are definitely, I mean, that is the big goal for us this year, is
yeah.
just the more people we can get on our website and in our shop, the more we can support. That's the only way that we can to endow
Survive. Yeah.
grants. So
One thing, I think that's a lesson that we learned. It's kind of, you know, eventually I think you may need to hire a professional to do certain things. like to some point, like we've done what we could, we've done, and you get to a certain point and you're like, okay, this is kind of like not not working, but I'm not sure what else I can do. And that's when we did go out and say, okay, we're gonna put whatever money we have and invest in the web because we think we need that.
Right. And
So
especially during COVID,
yeah,
and that is just, you really have to look at the e-commerce as your
yeah,
major, and it's a passive revenue stream, as
yeah,
relatively passive, but
yeah,
it's working for you 24/7. So,
yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of questions. Thank you guys. So
oh,
Martha from Facebook, what is your long-term vision for your business? Oh my God, that's a great question,
we're
Martha.
in the middle of our long
We're
term.
in the we're in yeah, I think for me, it's as long as we can continue to provide the grants, like 3 grants cycles a year and something like that, to me, that's, and generate the revenue for that plus, additional something so that we don't go broke and maybe we can eat, then I'm happy. I do joke that we're building an empire. But maybe that's the long term. I don't know. What about
Well,
you?
we can say, so Joy actually is in the process of Giving Joy is becoming a 501(c)(3).
Yes.
So that, we're kind of playing around with the structure of our businesses, and the partnership right now. So that's what's happening right now with the and then maybe trying to grow the brick and mortar. And like we said, we're doing kind of everything we can to, what we really, in addition to being an empire, I think, we kind of look around to some other similar businesses on the web right now, and we want to align ourselves with those and feel like we're players in the game, and become, not that we're not a legitimate business, but to put on like our big girl pants kind of,
Yeah, we
and
need we need to step it up a little bit. I
mhm.
mean, this has been like Greer's been one person. Now I'm in there. I think now with again our collective thinking and energy and innovation, we can really like, so just, go to our website, check us out, buy some really nice things that we have. We also April 26th, we have a shopping event here, and there'll be a
A coupon code. So
thank you, a coupon code for that. But yeah, so someone else asked about products overseas and how can you trust the products to show up. So, I think so. I think we're going with people that we know and trust for now, right, Greer? I mean, we have our person Saeed in India who is doing the legwork. He sends us photos, sends Greer photos of like what's going on, and
I do a lot of late night middle. There's a time zone aspect to all of this. So like often at 2 in the morning, I'm virtually shopping
yeah.
in like a fabric shop in Udaipur.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So sometimes, I mean, we can't feel it and stuff, but I mean, he kind of knows. But he sent a couple of things, like a few things, what like towels or something. Anyway, there are things where like, no, they looked better in the photo and whatnot. With the stuff, like all our jewelry is from Kenya and Uganda. These are places that I actually like know the artisans. I was there physically. I bought, so we have a rapport with them. So we're not starting now that we can't go to places like all these new relationships. We're leveraging our existing contacts and then also a third party, and some ideally we would go to all the small artisans and kind of do the shopping ourselves, but we can't until we physically go there. So we're going through others, but we're thinking of expanding to others that also do wholesale, and we know their products, we believe in their products, and their products are of quality. So
right.
I think that's kind of, but I wouldn't like now just start like a new relationship with someone that I never met before. um right, Greer?
Yeah. And just to briefly answer stuff getting here in one piece, for some reason, all of our stuff from India gets here in record time and totally, totally just in great shape. We've had a couple of issues with a few things coming from Africa, but I mean, the world is both a large and a very small place right now. And it hasn't been terribly difficult. And
I mean,
I, I
it's
owe a
taken a
thank
lot
you
more
to
time.
DHL.
Yeah,
They're
no, that's true.
phenomenal.
Yeah, DHL is great. Well, it has taken more time. I think that is one thing. It's not so much things didn't arrive, they took a lot longer to come. So I think you need to factor that in. So if you're doing like a spring collection or holiday, I mean, holiday collections start in June, July. That's when you need to start. Like I learned that also the hard way. You cannot wait for those things. You start in June, July for your holiday and have them start coming in September because otherwise you won't get them on in
Right.
time.
Right.
You really
And
won't.
especially right now I mean, we have literally, I think we still have some of our spring basketry collection is still on a boat
En route.
outside of
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Yes. And we don't know when we're going to get that. They said May, but who knows? So it may be summer collection at this point. So I think you have to work with that. So Ellen is asking, when looking to open a retail store, what are some factors that should be considered when looking to open a brick and mortar or sell just online? That's again a great question that we also wrestle with.
Right. I think that, well, I think that first of all, you have to know that you have to know if you like retail. That's a big part of it, and a big part of the brick and mortar piece of it. There's a lot to say about the brick and mortar. So you have to know that you like retail, and both what is really important to Joy and I and to our collection, and something we talk about all the time, is that our products tell stories, and they either tell the stories of the people who some of them tell the stories of the people who make them, and some of them tell the stories of the people who use them, and through those stories we gain a better understanding of other cultures. So Joy and I like to share those stories, and that's something we can do most easily through our brick and mortar. It's also one of our dreams in pre-COVID when we thought about partnering and combining is that we would get a bigger space than I was currently in, because we wanted a Broad Modern to be an immersive cultural experience and to be able to have speakers and music events and food
And
events
cooking
and
demonstrations.
cooking demonstrations. And really, every time we had a new collection from a new destination that we were bringing in, it wasn't just the products, that that it was a dynamic experience. And I think that that is a huge part of retail now. Like retail is dead. It's, there's, you can't sugarcoat that. So you have to be retail plus, and it's more exciting as a business owner to be retail plus, to have these different things, that these different channels that you can kind of leverage. And went to say like, oh, I'm really excited to have this event, and focus on that for a little bit, and then work on the online stuff. So I do think that if I were just, if somebody said, I have all this stuff in a space, should I just open a shop? Like, no, you have to do the e-commerce, and
Yeah,
you need a reason for people to come into your shop.
exactly.
And it's not,
Exactly.
and it's can't, at this point, it can't just, it has to be experiential.
So I just want to add to that, and I know we're getting close on closing, but so with the Giving Joy, I was just online, and it really didn't generate that much because, again, the things have story, they have meaning, they're for a purpose, they're. So when I did actually like either a pop up or I went to a market and I had a booth, when I would talk about the things and where they came from and who made them, and then where they're going to, that they're doing good, and this is my mission, people lit up, and that was the value add that I brought to it, and not just an earring. And I think you cannot always convey that online, and so that face to face was very important. And so I think, as Greer was saying, that our brick and mortar really complements the online. And I know not everybody can come to it, but it does give another dimension to what we're doing. And it really makes it alive, especially since we have a social purpose to what we're doing as well. And as Greer said, it's again that retail plus that we can convey in a physical store, that you can to some extent online, but they complement each other. It's omni purpose, I think it's called now, retail, that it has to be multi channels, and not just one or the other. Wow, we have more questions.
Right.
Someone asked about return policy. I don't know, like returning something that we bought overseas. Is that the question? I had bad experience trying to return something overseas. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't. Once you pay for, I've bought things too. Once you pay for it. Sometimes you pay 50% up, and then 50% when you get it. You get it. You get it. It's kind of hard, and sometimes it's not even worth it. Going through the trouble. I've had things before I was working with Greer. They came actually, like, I bought bags in Kenya, and they came ripped. Like, literally, someone like slashed the bags one by one. And so I documented it. I sent that to the woman who made them. And she's like, I didn't do it. I'm like, I know you didn't do it. Someone did it on the way. So she gave me those bags for free. She sent more. She didn't really want to do it, but she did. So I think you just have to be prepared for some things to happen along the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as like going through the trouble, sometimes I think that sometimes you do just end up, when you're dealing with stuff overseas, you end up eating some money. Like you're not gonna, it's not worth it to send back a box of slashed bags. It's just, you're just like, okay, kind of happened to us with our the soap too.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're
So
like, it's just not
yeah, yeah. So we had so just so you know, one of the actually organizations in Uganda that Giving Joy gave a grant to, they made soaps, and so we ordered some soaps. Now they also came 3 months late, something like that. And then the poor woman, she never sent anything overseas, so she just like put everything in some box, and it was soaking wet. It was like, just so a lot of the soaps came in very poor condition. I think we ordered 60. I think maybe we could have used 10, something like that.
more than 10. Not the
So I'm what am I going to ask her? No, give me a refund. So I told her, look, if you want to expand, also because this is a grantee, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to package it. And she was very appreciative, and she's like, oh, nobody told me that. Now I'm going to do that from now on. So I think you have to just do it. There's another question that, if you don't mind, Greer, if I can answer first,
Yeah, yeah.
about what
That's,
would you say to someone who is nervous to leave the security and stability of their corporate or steady job, but has always wanted to be an entrepreneur and open their own shop? Do you think coming around to being your own boss is a decision best made later in life, or go for it when you are young? So I think I mentioned to you guys, I still have a day job. And even though I started Giving Joy 2.5 years ago, I kept my day job. And luckily, my day job is from home, and it was from home before the the pandemic. And I've had the I worked around it. So what's happening right now is I'm working around my day job to do this stuff. And it's getting a little ridiculous, and it's actually quite challenging. And there is a lot. I am being honest. I'm very nervous about leaving the security of my paycheck and healthcare and all of those things. Yeah, and so that's why I still have like I almost feel like a life vest or something like a flotation, or like I'm keeping my little toe, pinky toe, in those waters so that I have some kind of anchor or something like that, in case this doesn't work out, or in case I don't know, whatever. And so it is very taxing. I get so much more pleasure from doing this work and being my own boss than working in my day job, even though I work for an NGO and I'm doing good, supposedly. Well, I am, but whatever. And so, but it comes, that secure economic security comes with a price. And the price is, again, being your own boss, doing your own thing. It takes a lot. I'm seeing it takes a lot more work to be an entrepreneur, but I'm using parts of my brain that I haven't used in years of my day job. And I think it's just so much more creative, so much more problem solving, and I'm using all the skills that I have in my day job, like project management and all that, and leveraging them here. So I'm still kind of in that limbo between these worlds, but I'm hoping to come to some conclusion that I can have, like, just leave that pool and immerse myself in the other pool. But it is very daunting. I do think it is better to not just like completely drop your job and then just start something else. Try it like little by little. If you get fired, then great. Then actually I was dying that my boss would fire me. I can't tell you how many times I was like, oh, we had layoffs. I'm like, I hope he does it this time. I hope he does. And then I'll just be, I'm good. Then they made the decision for me, but that didn't happen. So again, I think it's smarter to just do it kind of incrementally. But boy, if I mean, I wish I had the courage to just do it.
Yeah.
That's I don't think I helped you at
I
all.
I know, and I can't really speak to it because something that I've realized in the last couple of days is I was like, oh, I've never worked in corporate America. I kind of, and pre having kids, was, doing design and doing film things. And, so I've never had any kind of corporate life. I've never had health insurance from a job, or anything like that. So, but one of the through lines in all the decisions of taking jobs or doing things is that, I know that I have to be my own boss. I know, that working in a larger structure would not work for me. That being said, you have to, that means that you are accountable to you. And there isn't a structure of there, in addition to not having the job security and the financial security, there's also not having someone running the show. You have to run the show. You have to propel yourself forward. You, have to set your goals and meet them, and structure your days. And it's not always easy, to do those things. I think that again comes back to the kind of overarching sentiment of this talk is like two is better than one. Doing it, Joy and I generate so, I mean, we're both very creative people, but we can have a 20-minute conversation and come up with like 30 ideas that we're so excited to try. And
But we won't do any of them.
that's not true.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
Maybe two or three.
Yeah, it's two or three. But so I do think that having, surrounding yourself with a team, not just being like a total sole player, is more productive, offers a little bit of that security of just not feeling like, it's just me here and I'm, you know, not bouncing ideas off of anyone or anything. So there's that security in that too. And the insecurity of just being out there on your own, trying to just figure everything out.
Which we both did, and it is a little daunting.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
So you're welcome, Becky. Any other questions from anybody? I'm not seeing any more in the chat.
I'm just trying to see if we covered our talking points. And collaborate. We didn't talk about collaborations with other women-owned businesses, which you know, again, with our not being able to travel and stuff like that for the pandemic, it kind of birthed this opportunity for collaborating with some local businesses, with other, you know, buying from women-owned businesses in the States. And we have done a couple of really fantastic, I'll let you talk about our collaborations a little.
Oh, okay. Well, one of them is going to be on April 26th during our shopping event. We have a special Mother's Day kind of box collaboration. But I'm a big proponent of, again, linking people together and kind of making those connections. And so that's how it came to be. For that, we did actually over the holidays, we coordinated with a spice store that's owned by a woman here also in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And we came up with this really nice box that included some spices along with a brass bowl and a spoon, and kind of told the story of both of us. And then the proceeds from that actually went to part of the proceeds went to the grants. And so we're doing something similar for Mother's Day. So we all benefited from it. It raised the profile of all of us. And so we're looking for actually more and more of those opportunities to do something together with other women. And I see Shelly. So hi.
Yeah, I'll just because it reminds me of one of the questions from early on about the social media, is kind of hitching your star to other people when you can, whether it's through doing like a blog on somebody else's, but you know, sometimes we'll do a giveaway with another business that has maybe a larger following than us, and that, you know, that allows us to be out on their platform. And every time we do something like that, we end up getting more follows from, you know, and just kind of so that's a really good way to start building your brand, is essentially on the coattails of others.
Yeah. One more thing actually on that. That was another. I think it's good, in addition to leverage, you know, these other businesses, leverage everybody and their mother that you know. Like literally, like your family, your friends, your networks, tell everybody about what you're doing, because you never know where these connections are going to lead. And even for me in those 2 years, it's led very different ways. And I can't tell you, when I started giving joy to where I am now, I would never have guessed it. So just kind of like, you know, go with it. And I think we're kind of the same with you, right?
I mean, my whole existence is like on a whim and a song, and like that this is where, you know, if I think about the day that I met Saeed and now and meeting you, and like there's a lot of kismet involved, there's a lot of just remaining open and kind of keeping your eyes and your ears open. You know, it's happened the same way where customers come into the shop and you get to talking and they introduce you to someone, or they tell you that, oh, actually, you know, I have all these scarves. Would you be interested? Or like it's, so you just remain open.
Be open, talk about what you're doing, and just seize those opportunities when they come, because you never know where they'll come from or where they're going to lead you.
Yeah, and I think that there's often an inclination, especially when you're starting something new, to be very proprietary and protective of your ideas and your business. And you know, the amount of people that are going to see what you're doing and be like, I want to do that and copy it, are so few compared to the many that are going to say, that's awesome. Have you heard of this? Like that's That's what's out there. And if one person copies your idea, so be it. Because 10 people are going to help you do more.